All right, hey everyone, I'm going to walk through my sketchbook, and I just started doing this at the end of 2025, so I find it a wonderful habit to get into. And I'm just going to walk you through some of the ones that I've done, and then I'm going to walk through some of the materials that I recommend. So this was, inspired by Rick Dascom, a friend of mine. He's the president of Hudson Valley Art Association, and we chat all the time, and he was doing paintings in sketchbooks, and he just used them as a way to kind of work out ideas, letting go of everything and not making them as things that you present to anyone except for himself to kind of work through ideas. And that's the wonderful thing about this, is to kind of let go. So I started this on Christmas Day, actually, and this was just from a photo that I pulled online of a photograph of a friend. So these are just some of the ones that I've done. This is a painting of my dad. Again, I had a whole folder full of photos, and I was like, when am I ever going to get to painting them? So I just chose today. I'm going to do it today, and this was the 26th. So I was trying to do one a day. I was able to play with color, be loose, and then just flip the page. So this was the 27th. I was doing consecutive day paintings over. I think I did it for at least 10 days. And this was just a photo I had pulled from Yale University. No, it's RISD, actually. But everywhere I go, I usually take photos of things that inspire me. And this inspired me when I was there, so I figured, why not jump in? And there's a video of this on Patreon for anyone who wants to see it. This was just a quick painting, or a photo I had taken when I was on a walk with my parents at nighttime as the sun was setting. I took this beautiful shot of a tree. I didn't capture it, but the painting in itself, away from the reference, actually is a nice painting. Kind of looks like a Barbizon school. This was just a reference I had pulled from one of the online resources where you pay, but as long as you're not selling it, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is just. It reminds me of G.I. Joe, which I used to play a lot as a kid with my brother. And as long as you're not selling it, you're fine. All right, and then this was from the Norwalk Aquarium. I used to take my daughter there all the time. So I just did one of the fish. I forget the name of this one. This is the New England Aquarium, and I started to label them when I could. And this is the 31st. That was the 30th. The other was the 29th and 28th. So this was just, again, testing out the material, see what you can get, doing a quick underpainting. No tracing of photos or anything like that. It's just me trying to see what I can get in a short amount of time. This was from a photo from Howard Ray's. This was a lamp that he was given from his mom. And I remember talking to him about doing a painting of it. And he said, I don't know if it would sell. So I took the photo and then I let it just kind of sit, I guess, in inventory. That's the first of the year. This was the next day, and again, this was just a setup I had. I think I did a painting of this, but I was like, just see what I can get in a short amount of time. Also testing out what the reds do. The paints that I use are alkyds, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. This was with a friend, Brian Peltonen, and he just had this old pot, and clay pot, very, very old, and he put it out, and wonderful discussions about would anyone even know what this is. This was, again, from just a reference photo found online. I don't think it's great, so I'm going to flip through that one fast. And then this is from a photo I did a painting of, in which I was like, all right, well, I'll just see what I can do in a short amount of time. And there's beautiful mark making in there, too, that if I had more time, I probably wouldn't have the same marks. This is from, I think, the Yale Museum. Again, I take a lot of statuary, and I'm always thinking like maybe I'll paint from some of the references, but it affords the opportunity to even just go in and do a quick painting, just to do something every day to study. This is from a photo of in New York City. There's a statue there that is gold right by the Plaza Hotel, which is where I used to work, and right by Ralph Lauren, which I used to work too. And then this one, I remember Scarlett and I my daughter, were about to leave, and I said, I just got to crank one out today. And that's kind of when I think it ended, like my consecutive paintings, which is just nice to see if you can keep, how long you can keep it going for. But this one I think was like 30, 35 minutes. Each one of these paintings was about that amount of time. And then this was probably like 4 or 5 days later from a reference that I painted multiple times. And I just thought, let me try out some different techniques like thin paint versus opaque, which I usually go. So I also want to show just materials here as well. And I'd recommend getting a clip if you're using the same sketch pad that I am. The other thing is that you can use any kind of primer or gesso you want to if you already have one. This is Michael Harding's that I use, and I just had it around. And you can do a color if you want to. This one's clear. So what I'm going to do is just show how I prime. So what I usually do is I'll do the painting, and then I just try to keep it vertical, and then I'll prepare the surface if I'm going to do it consecutively for the next day. But if it's dry, I will just clip it. Now, the reason why I do alkyds is that alkyds will dry within 24 hours. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. And if you don't have alkyds, don't go buy them. But you can see I'm just going to put it on there, and it's going to buckle the paper. So be aware that any kind of, this has water in it, which is why it's going to take it and make it buckle. But you know, you can use any kind of primer you have or gesso. They're usually commonly mislabeled. Gessos typically have rabbit skin glue. Primers are probably, I think they're polymer, acrylic polymers. Either of the two will do. I don't really know. Basically, rabbit skin glue is going to take that paper. It's going to make it really contract. And that's really what sizing is doing. It's making the surface stiff. So what I like to do is just leave it there for a minute, let it buckle. It's going to dry out. It's actually going to dry pretty fast. And I usually hit it with 2 coats. And then on the second coat, I'll just leave it for the day. You could close this after. It's probably going to dry in about an hour, kind of. But I would let it dry for at least like 18 to 24 hours before you paint on it. All right, so let's get into the alkyds. I've been testing out some of these. Griffin is alkyds by Winsor Newton. These feel kind of cheap, actually, and really watered down. I don't know if it's the medium that they have in there. But there are also a lot of organic pigments. This is quinacridone magenta with phthalo blue, PB15 and PR122, and that's how you get that magenta. There's also a thicker or opaque one called CAS Alkyd Pro, and these are cadmiums. So they don't sell any cadmiums in the Winsor Newton Griffin. They sell them in the Alkyd Pro. So I was always trying to see what alkyds would do. I'm not a big fan of them, but again, always testing out theories and stuff like that. You can always change your mind. If you don't have that and you have oil paint, you're welcome to even just buy something like Alkyd, which is the fast drying medium. It'll dry within 24 hours time. The wonderful thing is this bottle was maybe $14. Dry time is super fast. It goes on. The texture is somewhere between thin and thick, and it's going to be a glossy texture. So if you have iron oxides and they dry out, because most iron oxides will, then you could go back in and even add alkyd. This is testing ground for me for everything. So what I'm going to do is just take some of that now that it's kind of dried, and you can see it's really buckled. I'm going to just do a second coat now. So it's up to you how many coats you want to do. I think Michael Harding actually recommends 2 to 4. But read the labels. You always want to read the labels on food and on art supplies. But depending on the brush you use and how you apply it is going to be how it's going to, are you going to have a crease, or you can see the brush strokes on this. So up to you. If you wanted to, you could get an even smoother brush and see if you can get no texture. So that's what I would do to prepare the surface, and I do that usually at the end of every painting. And then I'm going to go clean this now with water. That's really what's going to take this and clean the brush. So that's what I'm going to recommend. The paintings for this class are going to be in between a week, so you have plenty of time to prepare the surface and then wait for it to dry. You don't have to go out and buy alkyds. I have a ton of them. Again, trying them all out between the CAS Alkyd Pro, but a lot of the times on these Griffin alkyds, they're modern pigments, organic pigments, and therefore they just feel like watered down. It almost feels like they're like Winton paints, which I'm not a big fan of. But it's like where could they fit into the process, and what's your take on it? So, all right, that's it for the materials. Hopefully, you can get some of these. If you don't have them, don't go out and buy them.